Hey guys, welcome to the Vault. It's Leon, Jason, and Pierre here. We're back with some exclusive content today. We're going to talk about a polarizing topic. I think a topic that a lot of people kind of throw in the air. It's kind of something that's within the community. We're going to be talking about bots. So Pierre, take it away.
Yeah, I think there's been an evolution here, right? I think for all of us at first, we were like, they're not bots, man. It's just a lot of people trying to get hats, right? But I think we all are clear that it does exist in hat culture now. So,
yeah,
absolutely. This whole term of cooking, which I don't know where the fuck that came from, but either way, there's a lot of people cooking. And I think, I was at a point before, like I said, I didn't buy it. I was like, you know what, man, it's just like 2,000 people trying to buy a hat. But now it's clear. There's people just blatantly saying it, offering up hats ahead of time, knowing that they're going to secure it with a bot, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it's definitely here. And what I want to do is I want to kind of frame up the discussion first with Jason kind of explaining what it is. So what a bot is or how it kind of operates, because I'm not sure everyone understands it. And I think Jason would be the best guy, being a guy who's in IT to kind of understand and talk through it. And then what we'll do is we'll talk about, what some of the retailers are doing to combat it. We'll talk about the impact on the hat game itself, and we'll share some of our thoughts and feelings about it. And obviously invite all of you to share your thoughts and feelings in the comments, because we know this is a topic that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts right now. It's also something that's very frustrating to a lot of people. So I just think this would be a really good outlet for folks to kind of get it out, but also maybe perhaps to understand it better. So Jason, I'm going to hand it off to you to kind of share exactly what a bot is and what it does and kind of how it operates.
Right. And I'm just going to speak from the technology side of it. So if I say something incorrect about how or why people are using bots, please don't flame me in the comments. I don't have a bot. I don't use a bot. But I do know how.
And you're not a bot.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Well,
we've seen that.
Yeah. I don't
we've
think
seen
so.
those accusations.
Yeah, I am.
We've seen like Jason is a bot. Jason's not a bot. Everybody.
Yeah.
I do not have any artificial parts whatsoever.
They speak of hat crawler in the plural. They think it's like a team of people. You do so much work. They can't believe it's one person.
Just me. Just me. So basically, at its simplest, a bot is just a program that looks for hats, or really any product you want it to look for, on websites, and it has capabilities built into it to auto check out whatever hat, product, PlayStation, console, shoe, whatever you might want. So there's a couple components to a bot. One is the monitor, and that's the piece that just constantly refreshes the site, essentially looking for new listings. There's also the piece that looks for new listings or alerts you to new listings. A lot of those are based on keywords, like, hey, I know that such and such site's dropping a Dodgers hat, so I'm going to tell it to look for Dodgers, anything Dodgers. And then there's the piece that actually does the checkout. So there's many different types of bots out there. There's programs that you can run locally. There's programs that you run on a server. There's programs that you can run in your browser. Some of them do more things than others. They all cost different amounts of money. But basically, yeah, what it boils down to is your computer is faster and better at doing repetitive tasks than you are. So they basically built programs that will do those for checking out products on various websites.
At this point too, right, Jason, because fitted hats are so prevalent and so popular and so desired,
right?
You literally, let's be honest here. Your site, your whole process is like a bot.
Right? Yeah. So when I started doing this like 5 years ago, I was doing what everybody else does, just refreshing pages. And when I saw a new hat, I would post it on Instagram. Then I got, well, that's pretty stupid. So let me write a program that does that for me. So unbeknownst to me, I basically wrote a monitor from scratch. That first part of that bot that looks for new products.
Yeah.
And so that's what basically the crawler is a monitor. And yeah, it just looks for new hats. And the reason that bots are getting into the hat world now, and it's mostly driven by resellers, because there's money to be made.
Right.
Anytime there's a huge demand for something and a low supply, whether that be shoes, toys, gaming consoles, and now hats, there's
Well,
going to be
at this point, right? Hat Club, right?
Right.
You could literally just have it set up to just purchase anything that shows up on the site, right?
Yeah. Yep. You could.
You could.
And lots of these bots have so many different options. Like you can have it look for specific colors, sizes, teams, anything like that. A lot of the bots have built-in CAPTCHA solving, or they have alerts that will tell you, hey, a CAPTCHA's up here. It'll pop up a window and say, you can just go solve the CAPTCHA, and then it will go and do the rest. There's lots of sophistication.
This is basically turning a human process into one that's being handled by a computer.
Yep.
And can do it at a much faster rate and never sleeps, really.
Yep.
You know, because it's just constantly running and just looking and looking and looking and looking. Right. And then the purchase process just happens on its own, because that's all automated at that point.
Yep.
So this really is quite frankly an unfair advantage, honestly. Like, you get an unfair purchase advantage, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's illegal, because it's not, right? No. But it certainly is. I read something online today when Leon and I were kind of doing a little bit of our pre-work for this. It's almost like if a bot was an athlete, you know, if this was being performed by an athlete, it's like being a doped athlete, right? So like, basically, you know, it's like an athlete on dope.
It's even worse than that. It'd be like you running a race against a $6 billion man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No, I get you. Yeah.
Or with like a 50-meter head start.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, I get it. I mean, listen, either way, like, you're not beating a bot as a human.
Nope, you're not.
You're not. I mean, so tell me then, how come some people without bots hit?
So some sites do, you know, if there's a large stock.
Yeah.
I mean, because bots, yeah, they're buying things, but they're still using actual.
But they don't. Yeah, they don't have like a limit. Like,
yeah, it's not like
if the wrong person wanted to do this.
Yeah,
with a black Amex.
Yeah,
they could literally buy everything if they wanted.
They could literally buy everything if they wanted to. Yeah, but large stock will lead to you be able to get in. What we've seen too is when stores or shops drop a bunch of different products at one time. Yeah, sure, the one or two really hype or hot items will go quickly, but the rest will, you know, you're still able to cop those. And then some sites do various levels of bot mitigation or protection to try and to limit, you know, how effective bots are against their site.
So let's pause there, Jason.
Yes.
Let's kind of like dive in there. So before we get into the overall impact on the hat world, right?
Right.
Let's talk about what some of these retailers are doing. So you're seeing an awful lot of cancellations, right? You're seeing a lot about that, and then the stock being placed back. It looks even Edge out in Queens, right?
Yeah,
they're doing it. Hat Club does it. My Fit does it. A lot of these places still Sports World
exclusive.
A lot of these places do that, right? And honestly, do they have to? No.
There's a big cost to them, right? Because
there is. Listen, because go ahead, Leon. What were you gonna say?
No, just as someone who accepts payment, you're getting dinged 3% on the way in, probably let's say 1.5 to 3% on the way in, and then you have to pay a processing fee to refund it, which is probably the same way on the way out. So losing 6% on a product they didn't sell, right? I mean, well, that they did sell, but they just don't want to give it to the person,
Right,
whether
so-
or not it was a bot or not. It's hard to prove.
The point being is don't take it out on the retailer, because the retailer, if they are in fact doing that, it's of very little consequence to them to allow the sale to just go through.
Right.
Yeah, in most
Now-
cases, it's easier and cheaper.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So any retailer that's doing that cares to a degree, because
Yep.
it's just easier to be like, forget it, out of sight, out of mind, move
I
on.
made my money. I'm done. Let's move on to the next product.
Right. Because quite frankly, that's the easy route. And that's what a lot of folks would do if they didn't care. But these retailers that are doing that do care, because they don't want, it's not hurting them. They don't want the people that like follow them or really enjoy their products to become disenchanted with them, or not to have that opportunity, because you have these people kind of, so there's a sense of responsibility to their customer base, right?
They all really want their products in the hands of the people that are going to enjoy them, and not necessarily being taken by resellers or whatnot that are just going to try and flip them for profit. Not that they're essentially against that. It's just they want the products in the hands of the end user, if you will.
Well, they are all, and let's be real though, they are all ending up in the hands of people that want them.
That's true.
And it could be argued that the people that are paying resell want them more than the people that might have gotten them at retail, right?
Yeah.
So that's a fair point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But they don't. I mean, no business like that really cares about their customers really wants to see the potential customers being taken advantage of. That's just the reality. If you really care and your moral compass is pointing in the right direction, you don't want that. Right. But those retailers are trying, right? And we did talk about this a little bit. Like there is bot protection that can be provided by certain outlets such as Shopify. That's pretty expensive.
It is. It is
almost prohibitive for some of these smaller businesses.
For the smaller businesses, but I work in an industry where we're internet facing, public facing. I can tell you, even bots there are a real problem, and it does cost a lot of money to prevent them from maliciously. Now, in my industry, it would be malicious. In the shopping industry, it's not necessarily malicious, but does cost a lot technology wise to mitigate unwanted presence on your website.
It's always changing. It's not something you do at once.
It's always changed, right?
Yeah.
Because as soon as you do something,
there's a counter.
Yeah, they're constantly. They're just
hundreds of thousands of smart people out there that will figure out a way around.
It's just like it's not fraud, but it's similar to people that commit fraud, which they're always looking to exploit holes.
Yeah.
Right. And you're constantly trying to fill those holes as they're exploiting another opportunity. Right. So that kind of talks about a lot of the ethical retailers that are trying to do the right thing by their customers and trying to say, hey, listen, we're going to draw a line here. We're not going to allow you to buy up 40 of these and then sell them to a bunch of people for a huge markup. We're going to cancel that at our expense to a degree.
Yeah.
And then we're going to allow other people that really want our caps at retail to get those, which is great. Now,
yes and no, because once they do put them back on the site, again, bots are going to be buying them back up.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just an endless cycle. And then, yes, every time they do that, a few more actual manual users will get some, but bots will also still buy them.
So I'm thinking of some other things that I think will be beneficial to combat this, but let's talk a little bit about what it's doing to the hack game right now, which is first and foremost angst, right? Anybody who goes on there, they feel like they're about to battle a guy that's 3 times their size, right? Honestly, you go on there and you're like, it's almost like, for us, we're afforded certain accesses because of what we've done in the hack community and the show and all this other stuff. Whether people like that or not, I don't really, honestly, at this point, I don't give a shit but about that. Like we're afforded, but I did go and try to buy hats. I oftentimes try to go and buy hats for other people. Like they'll say, hey, Pierre, can you try for me too? So I'll go online and I'll try. Let me tell you something, man. It's a frustrating experience.
Absolutely.
Now, I've secured my hat because of some of the access that I'm afforded, right? But other people, I'm like, holy shit, this is what they go through. It's terrible, man. And you know what? For anyone who thinks I don't feel for them in that case, you're wrong. I do.
Yeah.
It does bother me. And which is why I've always taken a pretty hard stance. Even when someone reaches out to me and says, I want to buy a hat from you, you know what I say to them? No. Even if I could part ways with the hat and they're offering me a lot of money, I say no, because I'm not going to contribute to that culture. That's just not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leverage my access to create, to make a lot of money. And then also, I wouldn't feel good about it. It's just me. Right. But I went on, you feel beaten before you even start the process.
Absolutely. And on some of these websites, it's almost impossible to manually cop a hat.
Yeah.
There's like a half dozen for sure that you might as well forget about it.
I went on Sports World site, right, to try to get the butcher hat, right?
Yeah,
dude, I didn't stand a shot.
Nope.
I had no shot. Done. No shot. But I knew going into it, I probably didn't. And you know what? What that does is it creates something that should be fun and happy and like cool, and it turns it into this frustrating sort of experience and
stressful, panicky.
But then you've got someone sitting back with a bot who's like, just like, yeah, it's about to happen. You know, it's
I'm
like
the cook. It's tough, right? Because part of me thinks that, like, you know, what we've done over the past year is contributing to this as like an information thing. We've given out so much information. Pierre, your Instagram is like what, almost 30,000. Jason's jumped to almost 70. You know, the show, we get 100,000 unique visitors a month, right? So a lot of the people are taking the info that, you know, that we enjoy to give out. And now there's no secrets, right? It's kind of like a level.
Leon, but Leon, with or without our show, right? They could create, if you go back to what Jason was talking about, they could literally, at this point, now I'm not going to say we didn't help contribute to the hype, because we did. There's no doubt, man. And when you reach millions of people, you know, and you're on millions of screens in one way or another, be it Jason's Instagram, my Instagram, your Instagram, you know, Munfu's Instagram, or our this YouTube, whatever it is, right? That's going to create hype. But the bigger thing is, you could literally go in there if you wanted to and say, every Dodgers hat in a 7.25 on these 27 sites, I want to buy it immediately when it hits the site. You set it up, it goes to work. Whether they see it on our show or not, they don't have to be waiting for shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Rockies right now, like the Rocky Mountains have been hot for how long? Like the mountain logo.
Yeah. But
I'm 9 months to a year.
I'm not really talking about the people who bought it, like bought the stuff and whatever. I'm more so talking about people that watch the show, get excited, they want to buy the hat, and now their only recourse is to spend $150 or $200.
Oh yeah.
The thing that we hyped up. That's where it gets weird, like kind of squirrely for me. It's not that, you know.
Well,
I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it unless we were contributing to the actual act of utilizing a bot. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I can lay my head on the pillow each night knowing that I don't contribute to that culture. And I think we all, both you and Jason, can say the same thing. So, you know, I think it's more about like, what are the alternatives to this? Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, someone watches our show, we preview like let's say like a My Fades drop. They get so excited, they want to buy it, but they don't stand a chance. Only way to do it, now they gotta pay someone to wait in line.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I feel bad for. For our viewers.
But at the end of the day, Leon, if I had a bot, and then I'm gonna hand it back to you, Jason. If I had a bot, I would buy up everything My Fitness puts out. Like you know, I would.
You're like scalping tickets at this point.
Not everything, but I would go after, you know, like a 5/8 in almost everything they put out, or whatever. Like, but you know, I only say that not because I'm suggesting someone do that. I'm just saying, like, you know, I would, you know, that's easy money if you're doing this.
Mhm.
You know, regardless of whether or not we do a preview show or whatever, that I would
Yeah.
be setting that up. But
Right.
what
But
were you gonna say, Jason?
yeah, I just want to say too that, bots are not free, right? A really good bot is actually going to cost you north of 4 figures. And that's just the cost to get the program. There's also the cost of running, right? Because Shopify and other sites do what's called rate limiting. Basically, if you go to a
How
website,
often you refresh?
how often you refresh in a time span, they will actually shut you off. You won't be able to hit that. But that's all tracked based on IP address and stuff. So if you want to get around that,
If you could have like a static IP that's constantly refreshing your IP address and refreshing.
right? Well, there's called proxies. Basically, you're renting internet or IP addresses from around the world so you can do more requests at once. Those are not cheap. That's where a lot of the money is spent, is on those proxies.
Which contributes to how much they're charging too, from a resale perspective.
Yep.
They have to build that into their price.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the cost of doing business for them.
It's the cost of doing business. So, yep. And as far as the hype goes, yeah, sure, we might have had a small part to play in that. But fitteds are really, really hot now because a lot of people came over from sneakers, because you couldn't cop sneakers anymore, right? Because of bots and resellers are eating them all up. So they found another avenue to all these colors and styles and everything. Cool. But now we've reached the point too where it's we're at sneaker game level purchasing delays.
I would say the ratio of what's being purchased via a bot is very similar now.
Well, sneakers, it's almost 100%. But it's just really, really difficult now to get a hat.
Yeah, and this isn't about like kind of puffing our chest here and saying we did this or we did that.
I'm not asking.
What I'm getting at, like, is I think Leon, you were getting there too. Is like, listen, the hype around fitted started with the pink bottom, like this resurgence. It definitely did.
Yeah,
everything starts in New York. I don't give a shit what anybody tells me. That's where it starts. Then, the pink bottoms get a little bit more mainstream, right? They get outside of that little bubble that's in NoHo in New York City, and all the while, there's more attention being given to fitteds, and a lot of it did start with our show, and then Instagram, Jason, your Instagram, my Instagram, a lot of that stuff started to build a little bit with more mainstream people. Then you start to see people accepting alternate UVs, and even I watched your evolution, Jason, where you went from hating side patches to evolving to liking them. I watched you change your taste based on what's around you, and that's okay because that's normal, right?
Well, it's just normal. More options are available too, right?
Dude, at the end of the day, that's what happens, and you're watching it on this little scale, on a smaller scale, being our relationship, the three of us, and watching each other evolve and how we select things. But we're being influenced by each other, but also the outside world and everything that's going on. Then you get this place that's picking up steam. Now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's either exposed on Instagram or watching us or anybody else who's on YouTube or whatever, and it's growing, it's getting stronger, and the demand is happening. It's crazy. People all want hats, and then people are like, fuck, I can't get a hat because everybody wants one. Then the bots start getting involved, and you got all these bots.
Because the resellers know that there's limited supply, increased demand, there's that margin to make money. So they come in and it just exacerbates.
And every opportunist is going to do that very thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just natural. It's capitalism, whatever.
Yeah.
Another big tipping point, though, I think, in my opinion, was when lids got into the colored UV game and really exposed that to every, like you were saying, Tom, Dick, and across the country.
Yep. And then they were like,
you could walk into your local mall and say, what the hell is that? I've never seen that before. So I'm going to go on the internet, go to Instagram, whatever, try and find more.
Curiosity didn't just kill the cat, kill the hat game. So then they start searching for things, and they're like, oh my God, I never knew. Yeah. How many people are in our comments saying, or in our DM saying, wow, I never knew this stuff existed.
Yep.
Right.
And
I think
and every time you
every
get
day
one of
I get
those,
comments. Yeah. I
every
didn't know
time you
about
get
this
one of
site.
those,
Yeah.
every time, that's an indicator that 1,000 more just researched it and found it, or maybe 10,000. And then you got all this hype and it's crazy. But at the end of the day, listen, I want to offer a solution that I've been thinking a lot about. And listen, it's cumbersome, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think for some premium drops, there needs to be more raffles.
That's what the shoe game's gone to.
There needs to be more raffles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying only raffles, but there's got to be more raffles.
There's
or
only
something
really.
that. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
No, I want to hear it.
Yeah. There's only really two surefire ways to prevent bots from buying stuff. One would be a raffle. Right now,
it's
that
more
being
work.
said, a bot could easily enter.
It could.
raffle.
It could.
Yes.
It could.
Yep. But if they remove duplicate entries, whatnot.
Yeah.
And then the other way, the surefire way to prevent bots from buying anything is in-store only.
In-store only. Yeah.
Because I have not seen a human-looking Android.
Nah, yeah, you're right.
That's enough yet to walk into a store and complete a purchase for an item.
But then you got
I'm not saying that's stopping resellers.
Yeah.
But let me share something though.
Bots.
Right, you're right. No, but a couple of things. Number one is the raffle thing. I'm going to say will introduce a whole nother issue, and it's going to be the human corruption issue, which is whoever's on the other side of that raffle finding ways to backdoor hats, and then it ends up becoming something completely different. But going
raffle
to the
entries, you'll start seeing those show up on eBay as well. Like, hey, I got 5 entries into this draft or this raffle. I'll sell them for $20 above.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, but I think a raffle in itself, though, if you have a group of retailers that have integrity, is a good way around it, right? I'm not saying do it for everything. That's not feasible. It's too much.
No,
but
it's a lot of work.
But let's say like My Fitteds has a very specific 4-hat drop that's going to be extremely sought after. That might be a time to flex a raffle, right?
Yep.
But going back to what you were talking about, Jason, with the in-store drop, here's what happens though. If you're a retailer, right? Your shift in your thought process changes to, okay, fine, I don't have to do that and incur that cost. But now I have crowds at my store. I have neighboring businesses that are going to be pissed off. I have lines that could potentially lead to fights and arguments, maybe property damage. Now I have to get, maybe stanchions, police officers, security, whatever. Oftentimes these retailers have to get police officers, because there's just be so much. So it's interesting because this is a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
And the only time it's going to end is when supply meets demand. And our next video that we're going to drop is going to kind of talk a little bit about why that's not in the near future.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like there's no way to really, there really isn't a solution to this.
No. And what I was saying about in-store only is that was just to solve the problem of bots buying your stuff. I didn't say it didn't introduce a whole other realm of problem.
I wasn't saying you didn't, but I want to be fair and balanced here in terms of what I add to the conversation around it. And I know you weren't saying that. You're a smart guy and you understand the implications of doing it all in store. But I'm going to tell you the only surefire way to really create a balanced experience. And it's not really balanced. It's not gonna have any bots involved. It's not gonna create all this other. It's just drop a hat whenever the hell you want inside a store, and don't tell anybody.
Yep.
Because in all honesty, what other options are there? Considering when you introduce technology, bots, proxies, when you introduce all those things.
An in-store shock drop. Although,
well, you see
in-store shock drop, but will only be an in-store shock drop until the first person puts it out
sees
on
it.
the internet.
Yeah, you're right, because it happens all the time at my fit. It's like if they put out something, someone sees it, they're calling everybody, oh my God, you gotta get down here, blah blah blah. That's fair, but that's more of a trickle.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's not saying, hey, we're dropping this at 11 a.m. and then a line forms at the night before.
Yeah.
Leon, what were you going to add? Sorry. I want to make sure Leon gets a chance.
No, I was going to say, like, we see it with the MyFitteds thing. Like, they announced the Merlin missions, but they also said with the caveat, like, please don't, line up before this time. And how are you going to, like,
so that's just people
that?
sitting in their cars and then running.
You know why they have to do that? Because every neighboring business that has a doorway that's getting covered up by one of those camp chairs and a bunch of kids that don't want to move out of the way, like that also it's not good for their business. It's not good. It's not being a good neighbor either. Like, because, those are your customers ruining an experience for for a neighboring store. I don't want to get too much into that because the whole conversation was really about bots more so. And I think we have a clear understanding of them. Thank you, Jason, for that clear explanation of what they do. We talked a little bit about the impact, and I think the biggest impact is just frustration. And you see it, man. You see it everywhere. The frustration for the customer, for the retailer, for the person that gets wrongly. Leon brought this up earlier, prior to the show. The customer that gets their order canceled wrongfully when they aren't really a bot, they just happen to hit, but for some reason the retailer thinks they're a bot, because that does happen too.
Well, they some of this investigation going into determine what our bot orders are how fast somebody checked out. Like, if you got Apple Pay set up and you just happen to get in there, refresh at the right time, add to the cart and check out right away, you might be able to check out within like 15-20 seconds.
Yeah,
that's like a flag. Hey, that was really too fast. So
it's not getting penalized. It's tough. It's tough. I feel for everyone, man.
Well, listen, guys, this was a very good conversation. I think I hope the viewers out there, I hope you find this valuable. And please write in the comments, we'd love to hear, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what your thoughts are on potential solutions. Maybe we're missing something here. Maybe there is a solution that we're not thinking of. But we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. So please make sure you add those into the chat. And listen, if you say something about, oh, you guys are part of the problem, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I'm just going to delete the comment because that's not productive. Let's just talk about what types of things do you think would be relevant in this discussion that really means something. And with that, Jason, again, thank you so much for your very clear and concise explanation around what it is and how it works. And Leon, thank you as always for your insight. And how about you take us away, big fella?
Yeah, let us know in the comments, what are some hot topics you would like us to cover in the future. For Jason, Leon, and Pierre, we'll be signing out. So stay fitted, guys.
See you, everybody.
Peace.